This is the Nightshade Cult, a podcast macabre.
We bid you welcome. Enter freely and of your own will.
I'm Nick Grimm.
And I'm David Graves.
And we'll be your horror host for this dissection of Steven Spielberg's 1975 horror adventure thriller, Jaws.
Good evening. This is a smashingly successful movie.
Yeah, it's weird. It's been
a blockbuster.
It's the blockbuster. It's the original blockbuster. It is, depending on who you ask, the first or second movie to get a full-on wide release. Mm-hmm. I think The Godfather technically is the first, but this was a wider release than Godfather was.
Yeah, it was made for $9 million and it box office for almost $500 million. Mm-hmm. I didn't convert that into 2025 bucks, but that's a ridiculous amount. It's just bigger than any movie we've had modern times.
Yeah, it changed the game in so many ways. Like, this was a new thing I had just learned. What Blockbuster actually means.
Oh.
It means people line up around the block.
Oh,
for the movie theater.
Interesting.
Like when you had to go buy tickets and it wasn't assigned seating, you'd go and show up early and, you know, the other screening is still going. And so you line up there and wait, and people would line up around the block to see this movie.
Assigned seating changed the game for me.
Oh, for movies? For sure.
It made me way more willing to go see a movie.
Yeah, I remember going with my parents. They get there like an hour early.
Yeah, to get the good seats.
And you sit there forever, and it's obnoxious, whereas like, now I just breeze in right as the movie's starting.
Yeah, I'll get there just slightly before, like 5 minutes before the stated time, and that's it. Yeah,
and so when I say a wide release, which is standard practice for everything now, basically. It used to be movies sort of traveled around. Like, you would release in New York and LA and, like, the big cities, and then it would go to other places. Jaws went everywhere right off the bat, basically. Went in all the major markets.
So they could just have a media blitz.
Yeah, and spent more on advertising, really, than had been done previously. Yep. Nationwide ad campaigns. It's playing everywhere. And just changed the game. Like, this has become the way movies are done in the summertime ever since.
Absolutely. And this won 3 Oscars, so that's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. It won Best Film Editing, Verna Fields, Best Original Score, John Williams, and Best Sound, Robert Hoyt, Roger Heeman, Earl Mandry, and John Carter. And it almost won Best Picture. It lost that to One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And in retrospect, this is better.
I think this is, I mean, similarly, I haven't seen that movie for a long time. Mm-hmm. I hadn't seen this movie in a long time. And, like, really I was surprised at how much of it, like, I was like, oh, these are like all my childhood fears. Like, like it just like, it was a core memory that I hadn't accessed in a long time. But I haven't seen One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest in a long time, so I have a hard time saying definitively which one is better, but I think this probably holds up better than that one.
I haven't seen One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest in a long time either. I think both of these movies were, because we were kids in the 90s pretty much. I would see these on cable reruns.
Yeah, they lived on TV.
And they would be, interrupted by commercials. You'd flip through it. You'd be like, oh, okay, Jaws, halfway through, stop. And so I've seen it in bits and pieces many times growing up, but I can't ever recall sitting and watching it beginning to end ever.
I think it was probably one of the first movies when we got our first VCR that was rented. I remember Empire Strikes Back was one of the first ones, and I think Jaws was in kind of that first kind of month of having a VCR.
Oh, nice, yeah.
But yeah, most of my time with this movie would have been watching it on TV with commercial breaks.
Absolutely. And this is... I'm skeptical. I'm a hater, famously. I was thinking, okay, Spielberg makes good flicks.
Yeah.
Generally, he's not my favorite director by any means, but he doesn't generally make like crappy ones.
Yeah.
But I was actually shocked at how engaged I was throughout this movie. I thought I would get bored. Old movies make me bored. I'm just a product of the modern times, I guess. And, we're the Oregon Trail generation. We were coming of age as the internet came of age. So we were there for the first cell phones, first smartphones, all of it. We were there for all of it. And so we kind of became short attention span theater as the world did.
Right.
And so I'm always bored by old movies. Not always. Some of them are great. Like most of the Nosferatu movies don't bore me. Yeah. But I thought this would bore me because it's mainstream. And I'm also a little bit of a hipster in that I tend not to like the most mainstream stuff.
Like, how am I going to like this, one of the most popular movies of all time?
Yeah. It's like if you tried to get me to watch E.T., I'd probably be like, nah. But I bet it's really good.
Yeah, no, I think you could do a lot worse with 2 hours than watch E.T. I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, before our dissection, I was shocked. My hot take, I was shocked that this was good.
One of the top 100 greatest films of all time.
Yeah,
I can't believe it.
I can't believe I liked it.
I can't believe I liked it. Yeah.
So I mean, that was pretty good. I mean, a lot of the times when we watch movies, like I am unimpressed by things like Friday the 13th. That was wildly popular, and I did not like it.
I was shocked by how bad that one was. That was... Cultist Ted shot me a message before he started listening to that episode. He's like, "Oh, I love Friday the 13th. I can't wait to hear what you guys think of it." And
Ted, you got to go watch it again.
And I sent him back the smiley, the nervous smiley face, the one that goes, like, "Oh, I hope we don't bum you out, bud."
Yeah, I mean, there's no hockey mask to be found.
Yeah, I need a little more Jason in my Friday the 13th.
Exactly.
Yeah, with this one, that not so much the opening scene, as iconic as that is.
Yeah.
But when they find the girl's body and you just have her hand sticking there and there's crabs crawling on it.
Yeah.
Haunted my childhood. That image, like when that showed up on the screen, I had if you had asked me what's the movie with the body and the crab, I wouldn't have been able to tell you what it was.
Yeah.
But I saw that and I was 5 years old. Immediately my stomach sunk and I was like, "Oh, this is I'm just I'm experientially back in my little kid body being terrified of this movie."
It's interesting how that happens because this came out before we were alive, and it was on cable when we were kids, and so even though I don't feel like, if you'd asked me, have you ever seen Jaws, I probably would have said no, not really, not in earnest. I feel like I've seen it a million times.
Yeah,
it's weird,
and I think something that's hard to imagine even now is that Jaws was huge. Jaws was like Star Wars. They made 4 of them.
Yeah.
There were toys, video game. I had the Jaws Nintendo game.
Oh, jeez.
We are from the time period where they marketed everything to kids, whether it was for kids or not.
Yeah. A horror thriller about eating people.
Yeah.
Definitely for kids.
A little kid fully explodes in this movie, like a blood fountain. And it's a PG movie they just showed on TV all the time.
It's pretty crazy that this was showed to little kids. But I guess, who knows? I don't watch kids programming, and I don't really know what's on cable because everything's on demand now. So I don't know what kids can watch nowadays.
Nowadays, I think that this would be probably an R-rated movie, and they would give it an R just for vibes. You know what I mean?
They call it violence. There's a lot of blood in the water.
Yeah.
A lot.
Violence, suspense, things like that. Mm-hmm. Just that sense of dread will get you an R rating now.
Interesting. I didn't know that. Yeah. That bad vibes get you a rating.
Yeah, it can when it feels dangerous. You know what I mean? Just that sense. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back with our dissection of Jaws.
The sheriff of a small beach community struggles to balance the demands of capitalism with public safety as the town is terrorized by a man-eating shark.
It's that simple. I know I say that a lot, but some plots are really simple and some are not.
Yeah.
The thing that really struck me most about the writing and the storytelling here, because they really didn't start with a well-developed script or anything like that, it's so damn believable that someone dies from a shark and then the money-grubbing mayor refuses to close the beach so more people die.
Yeah.
Of course that would happen in America.
Yeah, especially post-COVID.
Oh,
Everything about this rings true. And the facts of the matter is just the odds are shark attacks are rare.
Very rare, yeah, especially in the Atlantic.
Yeah,
right?
And one person gets attacked by a shark, the odds are kind of infinitesimal that a second attack will happen. So it is just sort of like...
There are a few countries where that's not exactly true, like South Africa and Australia.
Yeah.
But here, nah, you're fine.
Yeah, usually.
It's usually just a nibble.
And usually, yes, because that's the thing. Man-eating sharks are also kind of an almost non-existent thing.
Yeah.
Generally, shark will come up and bite you, maybe catastrophically, and then reject you as a non-food item and move on.
Spit it out and run off.
Yeah, and, you lost a leg. But ultimately, it's because sharks don't have good eyesight. They just are looking up and see movement, and they go for it, and they're like, oh, yuck, person.
Damn it.
Wasn't a seal. I was after a seal.
Yeah, and so this really is an interesting the way that they chose to write this and chose to direct the scenes is it's extremely linear. It reminds me of a play.
Yeah.
It's like a three act play with extremely kind of simple sequential plot that isn't really. It's not trading on clever writing. It's trading on intensity and suspense and bad vibes.
Yeah, totally. And it's so based on a book by Peter Benchley. Spielberg didn't like the book. He only liked the kind of third act of the book when it's Quint and Hooper and Brody out on the boat. And he's like, I want to get rid of all the subplots, all the sort of town politics, the Hooper like love triangle thing between him and Brody's wife. Chuck all that out. I don't need any of that.
Yeah.
We just want to get these guys out on the boat. And it's kind of like it becomes like two movies. There's the town movie, and then at 1 hour it becomes boat movie, and we switch gears over to the boat.
I'm on team boat.
Yeah.
I like the boat part.
I like the boat part too, because then it becomes like 1970s Moby Dick, basically.
Absolutely, yeah. And I like how lean it is, because one of the core plot, you have the core plots that can be done in man versus man, man versus society, man versus nature. Yeah. Nature is one of them, and then there's like man versus fate and that sort of thing. But this is one of the core plot lines. And at first, it seems like it's a man versus man or man versus society, because the mayor won't let the is he a sheriff or a police chief? I kept mixing that up.
They call him chief all the time.
Okay, so I think he's a policeman.
What's the difference between a sheriff and a police chief? Because I said sheriff in my synopsis, but they always call him chief.
Yeah, usually sheriffs have a larger jurisdiction, like a county or something, or a state, and they tend to be an elected official, whereas police tend to be assigned to a municipality or a state, like there is a state police, and then they are not elected.
Okay. He's definitely elected, because that comes up in the book a lot. If you don't reopen the beach, will impeach you and you won't be reelected.
Okay, and there are some cities that do elect their police chiefs.
Yeah.
So he could be both or either. It could just be like, and there are some places that have a constable, which is neither.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. So let's see some other changes from the book.
Did you read this book?
I read the book.
Okay, I did not. I forgot we were doing this movie, and I started this 2 days ago.
That's enough time for the movie.
It really is.
Yeah. But I am glad that I read the book. It's deeper, as they always are.
Sure. It's no Game of Thrones.
Yeah, it's not like that. But it does have more intrigue. Like, we get into why the mayor is because the mayor is also deeply invested in local real estate and in debt to the mob, and there's reasons.
So he's not willing to close anything.
Yeah, because he needs the money coming in because he's in real danger. Yeah, which I think that just bogs the story down. It's not necessary for the film, but it is good background.
Sure.
The other thing that's missing from the movie that's in the book is, in the movie, both Brody and his wife have moved from the city to here, whereas in the book, she is a city girl that summered there, and he was a townie. And there's a class divide between them, as he's a real islander and she's a summer person that has become an islander.
I kind of like it where he's an import.
Yeah, I think it's additive instead of reductive, and it makes him an alien and a fish out of water, pun not intended. You know, like, as he's this sheriff that's afraid of the water that's on this little island town beach community.
Yeah, not to always cite all the cliches, but they say that, two stories, a new guy comes to town or a guy goes out into the world. This is both.
Yes. Yeah. So I like this version better, where they both came in from the city instead of just the wife.
I like that character, and I liked the three main characters. They're just all awesome.
Yeah.
And I think part of that has to do, they're simply written. You have the city cop, you have the educated science guy, and you have the the grizzled Navy vet guy.
Yeah.
They're very simply written. But they all work because they're very believable. They fit right in.
Yeah, it is interesting. Like, so there's these things coexist. The idea of archetypes, like Jungian archetypes or whatever, and also cliche characters.
Yeah,
they exist alongside of each other. And when you get like a proper archetype, there's something that feels satisfying and familiar about it, and the cliche annoys you. These people all feel like you just know who they are immediately. Like, just, from the way they're dressed and how they interact with each other, these people. And even though you don't get a ton of information, they feel like full-on people.
Absolutely, yeah, and we'll get to performances later, but I think that it was really benefited by choosing actors that could really lend a lot of gravity to the characters.
Yeah. So you talked a bit about the writing and the unstructured kind of writing. They did this Marvel style where you don't have a full script and you're winging it and writing scenes on the day and improvising. And every once in a while, you get a Jaws when you do that. Like, it doesn't work all the time, but sometimes it works. Peter Benchley wrote like the first draft of it. Adapted his novel, and Spielberg made changes, and they brought on Carl Gottlieb, who also is in the movie as
like the
reporter.
Guy.
Yeah. And he did another draft on it, and then by casting him in the movie, they had him on set to do rewrites every day.
Ah, perfect.
And he ended up kind of writing his character out of the movie because that character is redundant with the mayor.
Yeah.
And so he's only in a couple scenes, but he basically rewrote the movie as they went. And then Spielberg and John Milius, who directed Conan the Barbarian, also did punch-ups and wrote scenes and stuff. And the actors improvised because they had lots of time to improvise because the shark didn't work.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so...
busted-ass mechanical shark.
Yeah, and so they spend a lot of time writing up new scenes because they're out there on the water and they're filming and they don't have a shark that works. And so we get these things like the USS Indianapolis monologue that Quint does.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have been there if the shark had worked, probably.
Yeah, they really did this by the seat of their pants, and then I think it's good that it got an editing Academy Award because this is expertly edited together so that it flows.
Yeah,
it didn't feel like janky and disjointed like it very well could have.
Yeah, Universal gave Verna Fields a staff position after editing this movie. They were like,
you're employed now.
Yeah, you're the head of the editing department. You And Spielberg gives her a lot of credit with knowing exactly how long to show the animatronic shark for and cut it before you go, wait, that looks fake.
Yeah. Those eyes are just dead.
Yeah.
Not just dead shark eyes, but
really dead.
Like plastic.
Yeah. And like everyone, rightly so, gives her a ton of credit for how well this movie hangs together.
Absolutely. I think that the editing is one of the most standout parts of the movie because like I said, I'm always bored. I wasn't bored. This movie, it moves right along. Even in the first act, they give you little teasers of things or little moments that you know are going to come back. Like when the kids are playing out on the boat and he's like, "Hey, get out of the water." They're not in the water. They're in a boat.
Yeah.
And then it switches and you're just like, "Okay, that's coming back."
Yeah.
And so the way that it's strung together, you know that these moments are intentional and they're not wasted moments.
Right.
And I really appreciate that.
That's one of the things I think Spielberg, it's easy to kind of dismiss him because he is like one of the most successful, most famous directors.
Yeah.
But what he is so good at is just like planting those seeds and then picking the fruit 20 minutes, 30, 50 minutes later and making everything feel like it's connected and supposed to be there.
Absolutely. It's like an expert comedian when you're like 40 minutes deep in their act and they make a callback to minute 2.
Yeah.
And it's perfect. You're like, oh, that was expertly crafted.
Yeah. And then they're like, thank you. That's my special. And and you're like, oh, I can't believe he did it. And when we went all the way back around.
Exactly. Yeah. There are some comedians super good at that, like Chappelle, and there's lots of them. But Spielberg is great at that, at callbacks, or like, I think it's better at planting the seed and then letting it grow and harvesting the fruit.
Yeah.
Another thing I really liked about this, the actual like directing and I don't know how you would classify it, editing. They prioritize suspense over gore.
Yeah.
Now there's some blood geysers and lots of them are in the water, like huge things of red contrasting harshly against the blue, and it looks great. But by and large, the movie is about waiting and not knowing when. You're just sort of like waiting for something bad to happen. You just have that ominous feeling of impending doom, like for half of this movie.
Yeah, like what comes to mind when you say that stuff is the first sequence after the first attack where we have like a beach day.
Oh yeah, and the family won't go in.
Yeah, and well no, the one before that where no one knows that there had been a shark attack, or very few people know.
Yeah, when the little boy goes out on the air mattress and stuff. Yes.
And Brody's sitting out there with his wife and he's got the kids running around playing, and he's crushing a couple Narragansets or Narragansett. I always say it wrong.
And that's what we are drinking.
Yeah, you have to with Jaws.
Yeah.
And watching his kid play in the water and people get in his way, and he's always trying to watch the water. People want to talk to him about petty stuff like parking in front of their store for too long and everything. And then there's some fake outs, right? Like someone screams, but it's just someone playing in the water, right? Like there's a boy playing grab ass under the water or something. And then the kid on the air mattress goes down.
Yes.
And the dolly zoom pushes in on Brody, like when he sees it, and it's like everybody out of the water, runs out there. Everyone collects their kids like mama geese, right?
Yeah.
With the little goslings, and they call them all in, and then
there's one lady
without the kid, and you know that was the kid.
Yeah,
that was the one. And it was just like there's goofy, like silly, there's laughs in it, and like you let your guard down as he lets his guard down.
Yeah.
And just when you let your guard down, the kid gets eaten. And it's just brilliantly timed.
Yeah, it's really well done, and the idea that there's kind of it's almost like a ticking clock as they inch towards the 4th of July.
Yeah,
and there's like I like that they put a timer on it, so it's not just nebulously the summer.
Yeah,
and there's still a problem, and they're making it all the way to the 4th of July, and just all of this stuff, all of these little moments that they build in, they continue to make you always feel kind of just kind of worried about things.
Yeah. So a little town like this, and they go much more into detail in this in the book. Mm-hmm. You have 3 months to make your budget for the whole year, basically.
Yeah.
June, July, August. That's when everything happens. And if you didn't make enough money to sustain you through the rest of the year, like Quint says, you're on welfare all winter. And so there's a real, even no one wants people to get eaten by sharks, but there is a real concern. If we don't have tourists come here, we will starve. Our whole economy is based on this. So as much as you hate the sheriff, you do have to empathize.
Or not the
sheriff,
mayor?
The mayor, yeah. Yeah. You have to empathize with that reality. And the people in the town, when you see the town meeting, they want the beach open.
Oh, yeah. He's like, are you going to close the beach? Yes. And then the mayor, for 24 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of my favorite moments is when all the freaking yahoos go out there trying to get the bounty for the shark, and there's just like a bunch of chuckleheads.
Yeah.
I love that part.
Some of those are real Martha's Vineyard townies.
Nice.
Yeah. And since you brought that up, so they have a shark, right, that they display, and it's not the real shark. There's a whole backstory on that because it is a real shark.
Oh.
And they hired townies to go out and catch a shark out there in Massachusetts.
Okay.
No luck. They skunked out and they couldn't catch it. And they were in the weekend and had to film the scene on Monday. The producers flew down to Florida, hired chuckleheads down there to catch a shark.
Okay.
They were successful. So then they had to ship a dead shark from Florida up back to Massachusetts. Ugh. They the same yokels that they hired to catch the shark, they had them build a crate, fill it with dry ice to pack the shark up in. No commercial airlines would take the shark in the homemade coffin and fly it up to Massachusetts, so they had to get a private plane. The guy that operates the forklift at the airport was off because it was Sunday. So they had to hand lift this shark into the plane. Then there was not enough room for both producers, so only one could fly with the fish back to Massachusetts, and the other one went back on the other plane. And I didn't know this. Sharks decompose very quickly.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
They're all cartilage, like no hard tissue. And so even packed in ice and everything, by the time, Sunday into Monday when they start filming the scene, the shark is starting to stink.
Oh, yeah.
And so
I can imagine.
They're like painting the shark to keep it like fresh,
kind of bluish or whatever.
Yeah, while it's out there rotting on the hook while they film all day in the sun.
Ugh.
And it's this whole 5-day ordeal to get this shark, basically.
That's awesome. I'm glad you read about that because that's hilarious. I mean, and I totally believe it.
Yeah.
And God, I can't imagine how bad that smelled.
Yeah, and I just we can catch a shark for you. Okay.
Do it.
Yeah, and they're like, we didn't find one. We need one. You guaranteed this.
I'm surprised they didn't go with some movie magic and just have a fake shark made.
I don't know. I don't know why they did it.
Just made out of rubber or whatever.
The guy that made, because the animatronic shark people were all focused on Bruce.
Yeah.
And getting Bruce to work. Which, since I don't know. Is this
can go
visuals?
Let's go into visuals.
This is visuals, visual effects. Yeah.
It's a prop.
Bruce was made, basically, they didn't anticipate any of the complications that salt introduces to the equation.
Oh, okay.
So it was meant to go in the water, but it was not prepared for salt water. So they had 3 sharks and they put them in the water, and basically all the mechanical stuff fails immediately once it were in salt water. They worked in the tank, but they didn't work in the ocean.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, it seems like something you would have thought of as an engineer.
Yeah, it does. But are they really engineers, or are they just prop masters? I think it's not an engineering degree.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's true. It's not a degree. Or maybe, I don't know.
I mean,
probably not.
I actually think there are people who study prop and set design in college, but that's not an engineering. It's more like an art degree.
And we're not slandering Robert Matty, who made some excellent looking sharks that worked well.
They were pretty good.
Yeah,
for the time, that was great.
Yeah. And
it's no Sharknado.
It's no Sharknado. Yeah. Well, now it would be CG. Like now, when you go see the Meg or any of these, like when they make a Jaws knockoff movie now, it's so much easier. It's a CG shark. So
I've been to the Universal Studios backlot tour thing.
Yeah.
Is that the real Bruce?
No.
Or is this a repro?
Yeah, that's a reproduction. And it looks very similar.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. I've seen that thing so many times. Like that's kind of, I think of Jaws, I think of the universe. I imagined that they had filmed more at Universal because I've seen the Universal.
It was backlot, but no, it was in Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah, I've seen the Universal, which maybe some of the sequels filmed there or something, because they did make 4 Jaws movies.
Yeah. I wonder if they're any good.
Oh, no. The Jaws movies are all very bad.
Except for the first.
Yeah, the 3 sequels to Jaws are sort of famously bad.
Oh, okay. And did Spielberg do them all?
No.
Okay, that's why.
Yeah, there's very little connective tissue except for Lauren Gary as Ellen Brody is the connective tissue that holds all the movies together. She's the character that keeps coming back.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I mean, so one of the things I really like about the visuals on this movie is it's kind of a less is more approach. Like a shark fin in the water. You don't need a lot more than that.
Yeah.
Occasionally a shark's head. And that's it. Like, you know, in the second half of the movie when they're out in the water, you got buoys being dragged around. You know what's going on.
Yeah.
You know, you don't need it to be explicit. It ended up being extremely, I don't know, like it invoked fear because you couldn't see it.
Yeah, like there's the sequence where there's 2 chuckleheads that throw out like a pot roast on a meat hook and chain it to the dock on a big dog chain. And the dock tears away.
Yeah.
And then you see the dock turn around and come back, and the guy's swimming against the dock that's chasing after him, right?
Yeah.
No shark, but the dock, or like you said, the barrels, they represent the shark and how close the shark is to you. It's surprising how effective the shark towing something is to create suspense.
Yeah, it's pretty cool because it also delayed the ultimate reveal of the shark.
Yeah.
And, you know, you got some glimpses early on, and I thought that was really cool. And then there's also tons of, like, POV shots. It almost feels like you're, like, looking through the shark's eyes a lot of times.
Yeah. It's low-key a slasher movie.
Yeah.
You know, like, the shark is Michael Myers, and you are looking through the killer's point of view. Like, especially in that first sequence with the girl out skinny dipping. It's like
absolutely.
You're looking up at her, and like expert nudity, non-nudity, you know, like no details at all, but it seems like there's a naked lady there, like just flawlessly executed.
Yeah, old school movie magic.
Yeah, and it's like the sense of dread, and then the way that you just see her like knocking against the buoy as she's getting thrashed by the shark.
Around.
Yeah, it's so scary and so effective.
Yeah, those POV shots really they totally enhance the fear, and it really makes you feel like you're in it. Yeah, definitely evocative of a slasher movie.
Yeah, the shark. Yeah, Bruce the shark goes right there, I think, with Michael Myers.
Oh, you think so?
And Jason. Yeah, Bruce the shark is a pretty good slasher villain.
I mean, he's no Pamela Voorhees.
That's true. So cinematography is by Bill Butler, and then we'll have to throw in also the live shark footage by Rob and Valerie Taylor.
Okay.
And their footage ends up being very influential in the storytelling because they had a shark a big great white shark destroy their miniature cage without a person in it.
Oh,
and
wow.
so Hooper survived because the footage didn't have a guy in the shot. And so they had to write a reason for why he wasn't in the cage when it happened. Because he dies in the book. He dies sort of spectacularly in the book. Gets like bit around, like the shark splits the cage open and bites him in half. And that was the intent for the movie, but you can't wrangle a shark. The shark does what the shark does, and the live shark destroyed the cage before they had the dummy in it.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I thought that there was some interesting movie magic that went on. Like they used the dolly zoom vertigo effect.
Yeah.
Like
a lot of Hitchcock.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, this feels old school. This feels like cool. This is like Bizarro World.
Yeah.
And yeah, it makes you feel like, oh, is he about to faint?
Yeah.
You know, like when Brody is like zooming in and zooming out. I don't know. It's an interesting thing that they do, and I really thought it was cool.
Yeah, there's a scene I full on got seasick when the shark is on, they have it on the line, and they haven't managed to cut the line, so the shark fully spins the boat around. The orca does like a 360, and I got sick. Like I was like, oh God! Like I had to kind of like catch my bearings, and
that's hilarious.
Like that, I was in it because I was like just so in the moment, like watching them tussle with this shark, and then when the ship spun around on me, it just totally disoriented me.
That's funny. That's great, though. I mean, it's interesting. And the other thing that I had in here in my visuals thing is I really love how Spielberg used color.
Yeah.
Like most of the scenes feel almost neutral palette. Like this is all kind of like, I guess, muted. It's a seaside scene. You see the natural kind of dark blue of the ocean, and you have the sandy and almost like taupe colors, and the houses are all kind of blending in. It just looks, it has almost like a unified natural look. And then in the scenes with the shark and everything, the blue is just, it's deeper, it's darker, it's more ominous. And then the red, so much red.
Yeah, the chum slick.
And it's just like it changed the entire vibe from the town or even inside the boat to the ocean, and you're just like, whoa, this is scary. And I just thought that it was so cool. And that, again, it's all old school style. This is no CG. It was just really cool.
And it's so, like, I don't know if you experienced this, it's so tactile that you almost smell these things. Like when you go to Quint's like shack on the
and
dock,
he's boiling the shark jaws.
Yeah, he's boiling the bones, and he's got jaws just everywhere.
Yeah.
And he's got, like, he's handing out shots of his rock gut moonshine and boiling shark jaws, and you just, like, know what that place smells like.
That is briny.
Yeah. And then, like, when Brody's out there chumming, and he's got a rag with an old school bottle of Old Spice that he's like dabbing with Old Spice, and he's like holding an Old Spice hanky over his nose while he throws chum out there, and you're like, oh God.
I've never chummed for sharks before. It seems gross.
It seems very gnarly. Just rotten fish and like anything else. That's the sort of things that Quint uses for bait is a big plot point in the book, because he has a porpoise fetus that he's keeping because it's such a delectable thing to the shark that he's saving it for a special occasion.
Dang, that's pretty cool. So, I mean, that's all I had for visuals. You want to move on to audio?
Let's go to audio.
I mean, John Williams is classic.
It is. It's, because our last episode we talked about Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th copies this in a way where it tries to have the score be the sound of the killers here, right? Like,
and be really simplistic.
Yeah, we hear that the kill thing, right?
Yeah.
but this is when you do it the right way.
Yes.
Because when you, just like the sound, just like the score from Psycho, just like the score from Friday the 13th, everyone knows that. Like you,
I think Psycho really is the origin of this.
Yeah.
And Jaws does it equally as well.
Yeah.
It's
and so
super
people who have never seen this movie know that sound as the sound of like danger in the water. Yeah. It's just that has become ubiquitous in pop culture.
Yeah, and I think that it sounds like John Williams when it's just at various times you're like, oh, okay, this is a 70s movie score. Yeah. John Williams sounds great.
For good and bad. There's times it doesn't work for me. Some of the jauntier adventure music stuff that I love in Indiana Jones, and I love when the kids are riding bikes in E.T. and he plays that music. But in Jaws, I'm like, really? Like, we're shifting gears into adventure music from suspense music? But,
it's hard to...
Who am I to argue with him?
It's hard to knock him. He's pretty good.
He won the Academy Award.
Yeah, he's the best of the year.
Yeah. And then sound design, you already mentioned these guys, but John R. Carter and Robert Hoyt. It makes good use of silence and just the ocean noises, or like the drone of people trying to pester Brody, right? Like when he's on the beach and he just wants to pay attention to the beach, and you just hear the cacophony of a million conversations.
Womp, 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 womp.
Yeah, and like he's just trying to focus while everyone's trying to pull his attention, and they create that with their sound.
Yeah, it's really good. I think this movie got 2 awards for sound, and that is proper.
Yes, it is.
They didn't miss the mark.
Yeah.
So performances, I think that's really where that's the bread and butter of this movie is the performances, and that's not true for every movie.
Yeah. But no movie stars. Like Richard Dreyfuss kind of went on to be a movie star.
He kind of became one,
and maybe Robert Shaw used to be a movie star, but he's past his prime at this point. Roy Scheider has always just been a dependable character actor.
Yeah. And you immediately recognize him, but he's not like a leading man generally.
Yeah, in a ton of great movies, and is definitely the lead of this movie. He's first on my list, Chief Martin Brody.
Absolutely. I think that's where you start. He's sort of the protagonist from the beginning. You're following his POV.
And totally, the version of Chief Brody that's in the book is much more of an asshole than this one. This one is he's so likable and fallible in that he's afraid of boats, he's afraid of the water.
Yeah.
And he just moved out here to be a small time sheriff because he's sort of PTSD'd from being a policeman in New York in the 70s.
Yeah.
And he's like, he felt like he couldn't make any sort of difference there because crime is out of control, and he comes to this little town where he can really make his mark, and just terrible things happen when he gets there.
Yeah, and he, like when the mother of the dead boy comes up to him and she slaps him and blah, blah, blah. And I guess that's Lee Fierro as Mrs. Kintner.
Yeah.
He doesn't try to make excuses like, I tried to close the beach, but the mayor forced me to keep it open, blah, blah, blah. Because it truly was not his fault.
Yeah.
He just takes it, accepts it, understands,
that's on me.
I should have fought harder. I should have said, damn the consequences. I'm closing the beach.
Yeah.
I let those money grubbers push me around, and the boy is dead. I accept this.
Yeah, and he plays it just on his face. You know what I mean? Like, it's not.
He doesn't have to say words. You can just see. You can see him acknowledging it and choosing not to respond.
Yeah, and that is a very different than how it plays out in the book, where he like argues with her and and kind of fights back. Where the character in the book is just as guilty and feels just as bad about it, but he also he's just like quick to anger. the version in the book. Whereas this one you just see his contrition and shame and all of that. And because this scene involves him so much, let's bring up Murray Hamilton as Mayor Larry Vaughn.
Yeah.
He keeps his damn mouth shut through that whole thing.
He's a scumbag, and he portrays it very well.
And then after the lady leaves, he goes up to kind of console Brody. Like, he's like, that's not true. It wasn't your fault. It's like, no shit, it wasn't his fault. It was your fault.
Yeah.
It was you that wouldn't close down the beaches.
And then at a certain point, he kind of gets real. And he feels bad. Like, he's like, well, damn, I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't.
Yeah, when that guy gets his leg bitten off.
Yeah.
And his kid was out there in the water, too.
Yeah.
And it really comes home to him that, like, we're gambling with people's lives.
Yeah, he was a non-believer. He was definitely of the school of thought as one shark attack is a tragedy, but the likelihood of it happening again is so low.
Yeah.
We would be shooting ourselves in the foot if we closed the beach. At that point, he's like, oh, okay, I made the wrong call.
Yeah.
And this is sad. My kids were out there too. And
now we're 3 people dead at that point.
Yeah, he becomes human at a certain moment. Because before then, he was the villain of the movie to me.
More than the shark, because the shark's an animal.
Shark's gonna shark.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's fine. This is a particularly tenacious and mean shark, but
right.
You know, like, you can't blame the shark for doing shark things.
Yeah, exactly. Next up, I've got Robert Shaw as Quint.
Yeah, Quint is such a cool character. When you first encounter him in, like, the town hall meeting, he kind of offers to hunt down the shark or whatever, and they're like, nah, pass. Too expensive.
Thank you, Mr. Quint. Yeah. He does, one of the best character intros of all time is Quint dragging his nails down the chalkboard.
Yeah.
And he goes, you all know me. You know how I make my living. I value my neck a lot more than $3,000. You know, he's like, I'll find him for 3, catch him for 10. That's my price. And it's just like, you're like, you know who this, like, the way he knows the whole town knows he's notorious.
Absolutely.
You're like, oh, that's that crazy guy that hates sharks.
Yeah. Oh, it's crazy shark guy.
Yeah, they're like, oof. He's, we know how he makes his living.
Yeah, you want to have crazy shark guy in your town because he's killing all the sharks.
Yeah, well, I mean, really, sharks don't need exterminating.
No, that's true. Not especially in the North Atlantic, right?
Yeah.
It's not a problem.
It's at this point, there's a whole reverse Jaws that's all about Quint killing sharks.
He's the slasher.
Yeah, he's the slasher. He's the boogeyman for sharks. You saw his cabin. It's just loaded with shark jaws.
I feel like this performance, especially once you get out onto the boat, he kind of delivers this energy that is uniquely powerful, and he lends authority to what he has to say, but also at the same time he's a little unhinged.
Yeah.
And when he tells the story of the Indianapolis, you kind of understand then why he's a little unhinged, and then it kind of gets lighter when he's comparing scars with Hooper.
Yeah.
And he kind of decides that Hooper's not like the worst.
Yeah.
He's also a shark guy. Yeah.
And so that's Richard Dreyfuss as Matt Hooper.
He's the nerdy science guy.
Yeah.
He dresses like a Portland hipster.
He does. Like, I was really struck when Hooper shows up and you're like, okay, you just dress like this.
He's from Portland.
Yeah. Right now you could go out and dress like Hooper.
Absolutely.
And that would be cool.
His pants are cuffed up.
Yeah.
He's wearing a beanie hat.
Yeah.
The pants are a little tight.
Cuffed pants, cuffed beanie. You know?
Oh, yeah.
Full on Canadian tuxedo, beard, glasses. Yeah. And like,
you could find him at like Pike Street Market in Seattle.
Yeah. And he was the character that I think I loved as a kid, as the, like, none of these fucking townies will listen to anything he says, even though he's the expert on sharks.
He's the nerdy, smart, but also stylish guy.
Yeah. And like, he's got a bad attitude, right? Like he has a real short fuse and gets pissed off and wants to storm off and leave a bunch of times. And a lot of this, the interplay between Quint and Hooper, also existed between Robert Shaw and Richard Dreyfuss.
Okay.
Shaw would antagonize him and like wind him up and fuck with him on set. And so it's part of what makes this whole thing so believable, because it really is the relationship the two guys had on and off camera. It's like, you got city hands at home counting your money all day, and just like he just like winds them up, and Dreyfuss is a little guy with a short fuse. Like, I think that's who he is in real life.
Yeah, and
so it just like this old school guy that thinks he knows more than you and has more experience and doesn't value your new school knowledge or whatever. That all
you don't learn about sharks in a university. You learn about them at sea.
Yeah, you've learned about them watching like all of your shipmates get eaten one by one over the course of 5 days in the ocean or whatever.
Absolutely, yeah. I love those characters. Mm-hmm. I think that Brody, Quint, and Hooper are just awesome characters.
Yeah,
so well done, and the acting, the performances are really they're what make this movie really good.
Yeah. It's really, and like the way these two guys are at each other's throat, and Brody is sort of like an intermediary, right?
Yeah.
Where he's like, you're not going to do this on the ship, are you, Captain? Like, and he's, like, if we're going to be out there on the ocean, we need to get on with each other. You can't be fucking with this guy constantly. It's like, we'll see.
Yeah, I kind of can.
I kind of am the captain of the boat.
Yeah, I mean, and then kind of moving on, I guess there's the women are not featured prominently in this movie. They're all supporting cast.
Yeah, no, like the main thing that Lorianne Gary as Ellen Brody does is look pretty and concerned.
Yeah, and she's there to be she's there to ground him, and she's got words of wisdom when they matter, and she is a good supportive character, but she's not a well developed character. She's more like an aspect of him in character form.
She just sort of is this ideal supportive wife and mom character. Yeah, in the book, she kind of immediately seduces Hooper when he gets there. Like, there's a whole subplot about this, or it's kind of one of the main plots of the book, honestly.
Scandalous romance.
Yeah, because she used to date Hooper's brother when she was younger, and so he's had a crush on her since he was a little kid. Like, there's this whole, it's the whole Cougar Town thing.
So he's no stranger to this town.
Yeah, in the book. That's clearly not the case in the movie. Wisely, I think, because that all just takes away from the simplicity of it. Not a lot of Carl Gottlieb as Meadows, the town reporter.
Yeah.
He's much more significant as one of the main writers of the movie than he is as a character in it. And you already mentioned Lee Fierro as Mrs. Kintner. Anyone else we could kind of skip over?
Yeah, I mean, Susan Bacalini as Chrissy Watkins in the initial getting killed scene.
She's the first girl?
Yeah, kind of.
That's pretty iconic.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Friday the 13th lead character and the Psycho, sort of. Maybe a smaller role than the Psycho. But the idea that it starts off with this lady and she is the victim that sort of sets up the entire thing.
Yeah, how do you feel if you were out at a beach bonfire, pretty girls oogling, making eyes at you, you run off for a little hanky-panky, pass out dead drunk on the beach while she goes skinny dipping without you.
Oof.
Wake up, she got eaten by a shark while you were passed out in the sand. Oof.
I mean, that's a regretful scenario.
I mean, I suppose it is better. It's one of those things where, like, you're better off having passed out in the sand and not getting eaten by the shark, but you would always have that survivor's guilt thing hanging around with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's real.
Yeah. So, no, she was very, very good as the as the person that you get scared for in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah. She's like the prologue character.
Yeah. She's the girl on the cover of the book, right? Where you see like the famous image of the shark pointing up and there's a girl swimming. That's her.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
What's your personal highlight?
It has to be the USS Independence speech from Quint.
Yeah.
He's just super intense. I think that the performance is amazing. And I think it builds up the suspense and ramps it to another level.
Yeah.
And you fully understand why this guy is the way he is. He's seen all the horrors of sharks, and he kind of describes it, and it elevates what you're already feeling.
Yeah.
And this scene's gravity from a side. He's not a side character, but kind of you don't think of him as the protagonist, but the gravity in these words, it really reminded me of the Tears in the Rain monologue from Roy Batty. This is that moment, I suppose this happened first, but it's all about the performance of the actor.
Yeah.
This wouldn't have been a thing if the performance hadn't been so masterful.
Yeah.
Same thing with the Tears in the Rain speech. Yeah. It was all about the performance. It's the reason this is the moment of the movie for me.
Yeah.
So how about you?
Ditto. Yeah, like the same thing. So the legend is that John Milius wrote like several pages of monologue. And Robert Shaw got that and was like, I can't say all that. Like, that's
too much.
I'm not going to sit here and deliver like an oration. And Shaw kind of like took the bare bones of what Milius had wrote and did his own version of it, like a naturalistic version of it. And it's so well delivered, and just like the way it unfolds. Most of it is this 2-shot of Shaw with Dreyfuss kind of off of his shoulder, and they've been comparing scars, right? And he sees that he has, he says a tattoo he had removed, and I don't know if he had it lasered off or it got bit off or what
I don't think there was a laser back then.
Yeah, he's like, and he says, that's the USS Indianapolis, and then our first clue that means something is Hooper's face. Like Hooper, who's been like laughing as they're comparing scars, kind of sits back in his seat.
Because he knows about that naval disaster as a shark scientist.
Yeah. And so you're watching him deliver it, in that way, like that war story kind of way, where it's almost like a funny story, but you're seeing all the pain, and then you're watching Hooper's reaction to it the whole time, because he knows what those guys went through, because it's a famous event for shark people.
Absolutely.
And it's just like, for a scene that's just a 2-shot of 2 guys, one guy talking and one reacting, it's one of the most tense scenes in the whole movie.
Yeah.
That was my personal highlight. Actually, I knew my personal highlight would be a Quint
moment, yeah.
And so I was going through YouTube. I would Jaws 1975 Quint, and I was going through and I was watching all of the videos. And there was like his introduction, and there's here's the swimming with bow-legged women one, and like all the famous Quint moments. This is the one. This is like it's what made him the person that he is, and it's one of the best scenes in the movie, or maybe it is the very best scene in the movie.
Yeah, that performance is what really makes this movie for me. I think the Quint character takes this movie from pretty good to
next level.
Excellent.
So what worked for you?
What worked for me? So I normally take away when a story is simple.
Yeah.
But I actually think that the streamlined, generally believable, and highly engaging plot line is a big strength of this story. Spielberg was right to trim all the fat. Just make this simple, keep it easy going. This is really just about like three guys on a boat. And everything we do before that is getting them there believably. And I think that was really, really good. I also really, really liked, I would say the performances are an absolute worked for me. I think that those three characters, those three actors, they crushed these performances, and they elevated this movie from a simple, could have been a natural disaster slasher movie combo thing into excellent cinema. And I think that's hard to do. It's hard to plan for that as a director. And then lastly, I gotta say the editing and just general cinematography, the look and pacing of this movie, just how it's put together, nuts and bolts, is expertly done. It was on the internet, when you're looking up this movie or whatever, they use the word masterclass a lot of times. I think it truly is a masterclass on editing. And it's also a masterclass on perspective. Because so many close-in shots, POVs from different characters, the shark, underwater shots, and then above water shots looking down into the water. The way that it's just sort of filmed and edited, so good.
That's a really good one. Like the way, because you can't see anything a lot of times when you're looking in the water, especially when they have the chum slick out there. It doesn't look like anything at all, but the shark sees, or shark doesn't see, but the camera sees everything. Like, and you see how small and exposed we are. For sure.
So what about you? What worked for you?
The suspense. First off, the suspense and the building of suspense and paying off and relieving the suspense and then building it back up. It's become this total cliche to say that because the mechanical shark didn't work, the movie went from being a creature feature, like a Ray Harryhausen movie, to being a Hitchcock suspense movie. But there is something true about that. Like, they had to be more creative and more suspenseful and restrained than if they had a like amazing, believable robot shark. So it's just that's sort of piggybacking off of you, but just the suspense is so well executed. And something you already said a little bit is the cinematography. It's very complex. There's there's the famous dolly zoom shot of Brody on the beach. There's also a couple of like very low key oneer shots early in the movie, like where he walks all over the town, right? Like he drives from like his house to the sheriff's station, then walks from the sheriff's station to the hardware store to get the stuff to make beach clothes signs. And then you're like, wait, was there any cuts in that? Or was the camera just following this guy as he bops all around town? And it's like the way Spielberg does it, and the way what was our cinematographer, Bill Butler, shoots it, it makes it feel effortless and natural when it's very complex filmmaking. And then John Williams' score is iconic, and the three central characters and their chemistry with each other. So all that, just a big bucket of things that worked for the movie.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that worked here. So,
what didn't work for you?
You know, the shark looks fake as fuck. Just straight up.
It looks real until they cut to the shots of the live shark, and you see how much a shark moves. And you're like,
and it's just like, oh, it's like a submarine.
It just is just this thing you see in the water, and it doesn't move at all. It just is dragged through the water.
So it looks fake as fuck. The other thing I would say is that this movie, and this is hardly a criticism. It's dated, and that's fine. It's a 50-year-old movie. But by that, what I mean is that they were making a film that felt it really feels like it was made 50 years ago, because it starts off with it's just so classic tropes. There's nothing unexpected. You have the opening intro where there's violence, and then you have calm, what's everyday life in the idyllic town, and then you start getting clues of the little things. So even though I praised the simplistic and straightforward plot, I think that at a certain point, it did become a Hitchcock movie. And it may have worn that a little too much on the chest. It was a little too Hitchcocky, because it didn't feel fresh until you get to the boat.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It felt classic. And that's hardly a criticism. Because now it's classic. But even in 1975, Hitchcock had been making films for a long time. It was not
into the silent era.
It was not a new formula even then. It was just a well done version of an existing plan.
Reinterpretation or reinvention.
It's like when someone makes a really good action flick like John Wick, you're like, oh, okay, it's an action flick. It's just a great one.
It's a revenge movie, but it's got neon lights.
You really like
little gold coins.
It didn't do anything weird. It didn't pull like a Fight Club, that like a Mind Screw or anything. It was just a good version. And so that's a mild criticism in that it was a bit derivative. How about you? What didn't work?
Similarly, I had to really hunt for these. One, I already alluded to this earlier. There is a few moments in the score that they're jaunty is the word that I came back to, including in the middle of tracks. There's a track called Man Against Beast and a track called The Great Shark Chase, and both of them have a jaunty interlude in them that kind of fit in at a point where our protagonists seem like they have the upper hand, and the music starts to turn triumphant before it gets suspenseful again. And every time the sort of boppy music comes on, I'm like, in this movie, you're doing this? Like, it just sort of takes me out for a second.
I can definitely see that.
And it's not the first time this came up when we covered Minority Report, where John Williams, as great as he is, sometimes can't help himself but make adventure music. Like,
he's made for Indiana Jones.
He defaults towards that tone so strongly that even in this horror movie, he has to get these little adventure moments in there. And so those take me out. And then you've talked about this already, but non-existent female characters. Lauren Gary as Ellen Brody is basically just scenery. And that's a product of the time, and also just because she's not essential to the three guys on the boat story we're trying to tell.
I mean, legitimately, I think you could have, like if they were doing a Jaws 2025, you could have had Brody or Hooper easily gender swapped character. It would be less easy with Quint because of historical men in the military, women in the military, but the other two very believably gender swapped.
If Hooper was a woman, it'd be the same movie. Quint would have acted the same way.
He'd just be a jerk, kind of a misogynist. You fancy science girl, whatever. You know, like, it could be the same movie.
So anyways, that's it. Final thoughts and rating?
I have a hard time thinking of why this shouldn't be a 5 because it's so damn good. So I'm just going with a 5. I couldn't justify anything else.
That is very much the same boat I'm in. Like, if it was a new movie I just saw, I would have been, 4 stars, easy.
I would be like, that was pretty damn good.
But because of its reputation, this is one of these movies.
It's innovative.
It's in the Library of Congress. This is a historically significant movie. You read a million articles about how it's a perfect film, and then you're like, well, what's wrong with it? If I don't think it's a perfect movie, what is not perfect about it? And then you just come up blank. You're like, well, I have no real criticisms to issue.
It's just one of these movies where it's like, I started watching it thinking I'm not going to like it because of all the previously mentioned things. I'm a hipster. I don't like big popular things. It's old. I get bored by old things. but I thoroughly enjoyed the whole damn thing, especially once they got onto the ship.
Yeah.
It's just a great movie. Like, it's not just a good movie, it's a great movie.
Yeah. So, John, 5 stars, just like everything you ever read.
Yeah, who would have ever predicted that this would be a good movie?
Yeah. All right, well, let's play the music and we'll come back with our final thoughts. Before we delve into the Vault of Darkness, we ask that all initiates of the cult follow us on your favorite social media platforms at Nightshade Cult.
If you've enjoyed this content, help us grow the cult by sharing it with like-minded people and leave us a review wherever you listen. Also, just click the little thumbs up and maybe if you're not already subscribed, subscribe to our YouTube channel because that's where most of our listens come from.
Yeah, and, several of you do this regularly.
Yeah, all the time. And thank you very much.
Yeah, you comment on everything and respond to things and like our posts, and we appreciate you, and that just does nothing but help us in the algorithm.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, because of those people who are clicking like and commenting, the algorithm is responsible for significantly more plays than direct links.
Yeah.
So thank you. That's awesome.
Okay. Any dark tidings before we get into
sort of. So okay. I've been super busy lately, and I've been kind of revisiting like old stuff, and I'm just going to talk about a couple of those today. But there are 2 things that I felt two new upcoming media things coming out.
Okay.
I felt the need to put on my calendar.
Oh,
because I'm such a diehard fan. My favorite TV show of all TV shows is Alone.
Okay.
And the new season is coming out June 12th, so before our next drop.
Okay.
And it's season 12, and they're changing the formula for the first time in 7 seasons, 8 seasons. They're not doing it in kind of a northern climate. They've been in Canada for almost the entire thing. They went to Mongolia once and they went to Patagonia once, but they're going to South Africa.
Oh, so where the refugees are coming from?
Yeah, where the genocide's happening. No, we're not political here. So it's cool because they're out in a nature area, like a wilds area. It's not, and so there are legitimately straight up African wildlife, scary ass animals,
lions,
and it's not a matter of dying of or suffering from exposure and all of that. It's going to be a matter of getting water and all of that. So it's a whole different thing. So if you're into competition shows, unscripted television, bushcraft, wilderness survival, or just sort of people giving sort of intense personal narratives to the camera, Alone is the show for you. And I started rewatching old seasons of Alone just to get me going. The other thing that's on my calendar is I am such a dweeb for actual play shows. I really have been most closely following Dimension 20, which is a show on Dropout TV.
You've mentioned this.
I love Dimension 20. It's great. But they got a new campaign coming, and this is not like Critical Role where they'll have one campaign and it'll last 5 years.
Yeah.
They do it like television where it's an episodic season.
Okay.
Where it'll have between 8 and 15 episodes. And this one is not like a season 2 of a previous campaign.
Right.
This is a whole new thing. It's called Cloudward Ho.
Okay.
They're playing in a steampunk setting, which is easy to dismiss as lame because it has been usurped by lame people. But okay, I'm going to apologize to you steampunk people. It's not your fault that Justin Bieber made a steampunk music video. Because this is actually cool.
Someone he paid to design.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
this is actually cool. Jim Butcher, one of my favorite authors, Dresden Files fame, he wrote a series that's ongoing called The Aeronaut's Windlass, or The Cinder Spires.
Yeah.
And The Aeronaut's Windlass is the first book. It's the one I got him to sign when I met him. And it's an excellent steampunk fiction. And so Cloudward Ho, on Dimension 20, my favorite dungeon master, Brendan Lee Mulligan. Brendan Lee Mulligan is awesome, and he's running this his way, and I'm super stoked for it. And that's premiering, I think it's even sooner. It's like June 4th, I'm going to watch the first episode.
Okay.
And then they usually drop one episode a week. And so it's like that. Something to look forward to through the summer.
Right on. So Alone season 12.
And Cloudward Ho on Dimension 20.
Yeah.
Excellent. So those are the media things that are like on my
on your radar.
On my radar. How about you? Anything Dark Tidings?
I didn't have any Dark Tidings to
there's also a new Black Braid single from the August release of the Black Braid 3, but I'm going to feature that in August, I think. Okay. Because I'm stoked for that album.
Yeah, because there's a new album coming out.
Yeah, and it's just a teaser single.
Okay.
And it's good. So what have I been up to? I've been super damn busy. It's been like 2 weeks since we did this. I traveled for a reenactment event, fought in a big tournament, did pretty good. And then we came back and family wedding. Brother-in-law got married, big deal.
Congratulations, Drew.
Yeah, Drew's a good dude, and I'm stoked for him. And so I've been just mega busy. So I haven't been delving into a lot of new stuff. So whenever I'm feeling stressed or busy or whatever, I go back to the old.
Yeah.
So 2 things old that I've been revisiting with all my free time is Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've come over while I've been playing that.
Yeah.
And I'm playing through Maximum Honor playthrough.
Oh.
I'm the goodest of good guys. I kicked Leopold Strauss out of camp.
Nice.
And I'm enjoying being like a paladin cowboy. It's super good.
It won't surprise you. I accidentally did that.
Oh yeah, this is who you are. Yeah, like when I played through natural, just raw play, I tend toward like I would say 2/3 good.
Yeah.
Not middle, not a gray guy, but just sort of like a pretty decent guy.
Yeah.
I would assume that you would be all the way good.
Yeah, I didn't realize I had done that until I saw like a YouTube video that was like, only this percentage of people have seen this scene. And I was like, huh.
Oh, yeah,
and I played it, the one with at the train station with the nun talking to Arthur.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I got that scene. And then I was like, wait, what other things happened to me that only happened to like the goodiest of two shoes?
Yeah, I'm just thoroughly enjoying the game again because like as a hunting simulator, it's pretty much unrivaled.
Go out there and stalk. You know, it's so weird because the animals in Red Dead are so realistic.
Yeah, they're extremely cool.
I was just like in the epilogue of the game one time, I was just sort of sitting up on this ridge, looking through the scope on my rifle, like I was hunting something, like antelope or something. I don't remember what it was. And I started watching like this pack of coyotes interacting with each other and everything, and it's like, this is like real dogs.
Yeah,
like,
it's like really, really good.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I'm still after that 3-star bison. I have never found one.
Really?
I don't know why. I keep going everywhere.
The legendary
you're
one?
to go.
Like
no, just a regular ass 3-star bison so I can have the perfect bison hide.
It's because they're so hard to kill. That's the thing with the bison.
I found one and I shot it and it did not die.
Yeah.
And then I chased it and I shot it again. And these are like dead eye headshots.
Yeah.
And then its hide was degraded.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn it. How am I going to get that?
Yeah. I don't think I ever got a perfect bison hide either, because you end up plugging them full of holes because they're just so hard
tough
to kill.
Yeah, I don't know what to do. There's got to be I got the heaviest rifle you can get. Anyway, so I've been loving this game. If Cultists, if you haven't played Red Dead Redemption 2, if you like Rockstar games, like if you've ever played GTA, which there's a new one, I haven't played it.
Next year.
It was announced, right?
It was announced with a full year until it released.
The preview looked cool.
It's crazy. Like
I'm probably gonna play that.
The like flip-flop physics, like people, because it's in Miami or it's in Vice City. We're going back to Vice City, and like how realistic everything moves and behaves is next level.
It looks really cool. I need to find something to play after Red Dead 2. I thought about Red Dead Online. I've never messed with it.
Yeah, you could just do your own Westworld. You could be the Man in Black and just go out there and ruin people's lives.
Oh yeah, I just kill every NPC in every town.
And then post that on YouTube.
I don't know about that. And then the other thing I've been doing with my time, and I know most of the cultists give exactly zero fucks about this, but my favorite army in Warhammer, the Space Wolves, they just got an entirely new range refresh, so all the units redone, all new characters, all new rules, a whole deal. And I've just been eating that up because I've been a Space Wolves guy forever.
Yeah,
so it's so good.
It's kind of always been your main faction,
I've
right?
always been a Marine, a Space Marines guy, and the Space Wolves, if you don't know, are like Norse-inspired, werewolf adjacent. They have the Canis Helix, sci-fi magic. So some of them wolf out.
Do they turn into werewolves, or are they like berserkers?
There are berserkers, and then there are guys who devolve fully into, they become wolf men, and they can't change back.
Okay.
And you can field those guys. They're called Fenrisian wolves, and they're part of your army. They're just these wolves. And then there's like guys that are partially through the transformation called wolfen, that are like half wolfed out dudes. Yeah, and they're really cool.
You don't have a lot of the minis of those guys, do you?
I do.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're pretty rad.
Right.
I can show you some.
Okay.
Yeah. This is my favorite army, and 40K is just a hole you can dig into, and this is one of my spots.
And it's because we're making America great. These models have become very affordable.
Well, honestly, because Games Workshop, they do manufacture everything in Nottingham, England, and that's famous. They won't move it overseas, etc. But they have had such a robust U.S. distribution. They have just warehouses full of this shit.
There's plenty here, so we're not dealing with the tariffs.
There's been no price hikes at all because GW they just know the U.S. is one of the biggest markets. It's like Europe. And then North America, the biggest markets. So we have noticed no increases. In fact, this latest box set for my army, it went down $10 from the last box set.
Oh, that's intriguing. That's very nice.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, because I've noticed that definitely with like toy collecting and stuff. Everything's bumped up in price.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, because everything comes from China. And
yeah. And I had a Kickstarter that was stuck in a port, and they sent the email, "We're out. We're gonna ship soon." So I'll soon have the new wargaming terrain and stuff.
That's a dirty deal, right? Where you already paid for the thing. Yeah. Anyways, I'm glad that finally came through.
Yeah, I don't have it yet, but I will. So how about you? What are you pulling out of the vault?
So I was thinking, because we're talking Jaws and Steven Spielberg, there's a filmmaker who I think is heavily indebted to Steven Spielberg, very influenced by him. And he doesn't have a huge filmography, just 4 films, or it'll be 5 this year. 1 new one's coming out.
Nice.
And that one in particular, because it is in the Jurassic franchise, he's described as being a love letter to Spielberg. And if you watch the trailer, it's very Jaws inspired. And that's the new Jurassic World Rebirth. And the director I'm speaking about is Gareth Edwards, who is the same age as Jaws, born in 1975.
Oh, okay. So he's old.
Yeah.
Old as heck.
Yeah, 50 years old almost.
Jeez, what an old guy.
Yeah. So I've been a big proponent of him. As far as I'm concerned, no duds in this guy's filmography. He came on the scene in 2010 with a movie called Monsters, which was an independent film that he was writer, director, cinematographer, and visual effects artist for.
Dang.
And it's a low budget sci-fi horror movie about 2 people traveling through, I think in Mexico during like an alien invasion.
Okay.
And it's sort of Walking Dead, post-apocalyptic sort of thing. Like Walking Dead, War of the Worlds mashup. And it's suspenseful, and it's a do more with less kind of movie. And it's just super effective, and was a great debut film, especially for someone who did everything on the movie.
Yeah.
He followed that up with Godzilla in 2014, which, by my money, is one of the best of the MonsterVerse movies.
Okay.
And it's very much like whenever people complain to me about there's not enough Godzilla in Godzilla, I was like, it's Jaws with Godzilla. So he holds Godzilla back and doesn't show you. And then when he does show you the monster, it's the biggest, scariest monster you've ever seen because of the way he builds suspense with the giant monster. He learned those lessons from Spielberg. Followed that up with Rogue One, a Star Wars story, which everyone is revisiting right now.
Yeah.
Because we just watched season 2 of Andor.
Yeah, I haven't got to that yet. I watched season 1.
Yes.
It's pretty good.
Watch season 2 of Andor and then watch Rogue One.
Is there going to be a season 3 of Andor, or does it leave off?
Yeah, Rogue One is season 3 of Andor.
Okay.
And no one survives Rogue One.
Well, yeah, because I've seen the Star Wars movies.
Yeah, spoiler alert. Yeah. For my money, I'm going to finally admit this. I've kind of held back on saying, well, maybe it's not the best. Rogue One is the best Disney Star Wars movie. I'll just say that.
Okay, so how does it rank? If you're ranking Star Wars movies, just
original 3.
So original 3, then Rogue One.
Then Rogue One.
Okay.
Then The Last Jedi, Force Awakens, Solo.
Oh, man. No love for Phantom Menace.
No, I just don't like those movies.
Yeah, they're so bad. I've tried episodes 1, 2, and 3.
I've tried
the
so
gun
many
guns
times.
kill me, dude. I hate all the Naboo everything.
Phantom Menace is probably my bottom Star Wars
Ooh,
movie. Yeah.
No way. Episode 9 is the worst.
Nah, well, yes, actually, I'll actually say that. I'll say, what's it called? The Rise of Skywalker?
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, or the
Just trash.
Rebirth of Skywalker. Or
Something
anyone
like that.
can be a Skywalker.
Just a retread of whatever.
Yeah, whatever. The weird thing about it is I think it's easier to watch The Rise of Skywalker than it is to watch The Phantom Menace. Mm-hmm. But the filmmaking, Lucas is such a personal filmmaker and an auteur, and he has something that he wants to say. I just am not super into it.
Yeah.
Whereas JJ is just trying to spoon feed you member berries. and it's it's so it's easier to sit through, but it's so unfilling.
Oh yeah. By the end of it, you're like, what was that?
Whereas the prequels, I have a difficult time sitting through them, but they have so much to say politically, and they're really about shit. I just think they're boring, and I don't like the writing, and there's but I like what they're about.
Sure.
So anyways, but Rogue One I think is the best of the Disney era Star Wars. And then finally he goes back to an original creation with his movie in 2023, The Creator, which was his cyberpunk Odyssey movie.
Oh.
Fairly low budget again, $80 million movie shot
Jaws did it for 9, so
yeah, in 1975. Yeah. And The Creator I just thought was one of the most visually innovative, interesting looking films.
Now I want to see that.
Yeah. I think The Creator is totally worth watching, and the whole Jurassic franchise has sort of been on life support since Spielberg stepped away from it. But the fact that he's doing the next Jurassic movie makes me interested in that movie. So anyways, Gareth Edwards, 5 movies, only 4. Right now it's only 4 movies, and they're all worth watching.
That's a good start. 4 movies that are all good, all winners. That's hard to beat.
Yeah. Not perfect, just good. He's
so
good.
At least 3 or better for stars for every movie.
I would rate all of these movies 4 stars.
Okay, perfect. That's awesome. That's a hell of a start.
Someone will tell me Godzilla's only 3 stars, but
you're a Godzilla.
I'm a Godzilla
guy.
I have a tattoo of Godzilla.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I wanted to touch back on one of my Vault of Darkness from 3 episodes ago or 2.
Okay.
The anime awards on Crunchyroll.
Oh yeah.
We know who won. It was Solo Leveling.
Yeah.
Solo Leveling won Best Anime.
The buzz on that is big.
If you haven't watched Solo Leveling, are you even into anime? Yeah, because it's so dope.
I don't think I am, because I went to go watch the Kaiju thing.
Kaiju number 8?
Yeah, and then I was like, oh, I don't have a Crunchyroll subscription anymore.
Okay, we can piggyback you, no problem.
Okay, good.
Yeah, easy. So Kaiju number 8 got skunked out, which is like kind of an uproar on the internet because it's so good and it didn't win any of the categories it was in. Furin won Best Drama, and that might be the second best anime of the year. Most people think it should be Solo Leveling, but because in Japan it won Best Anime, but America likes action more than like a really thoughtful, inward-looking drama. Okay. It's not just a drama; there's action in it too.
Yeah,
but Furin is a thinky thoughts anime, and it's really good. So yeah, anyway,
you have to do a lot of reading.
No, you don't have to do a lot of reading. You just have to do a lot of considering. What would it be like if you were immortal and you were losing all the people you ever loved? It's really thoughtful because it's about an elf wizard who she has like an apprentice, and flashes back to when she was an apprentice, and she has friends who are heroes that she adventured with that became like great heroes of the realm, and then they died because they're humans, and it's just sort of about her and her saga. It's crazy good. Okay. So anyway, we'd like to thank you for joining the Nightshade Cult.
Until we meet again, we're wishing you unpleasant dreams.